years ago. You see them everywhere now, and you are wondering, where is ethics? Where are our ethic principles? Where are the morals that are expected of professionals and all that? So addressing threats to ethical compliance in practice, I will still say that our fundamental ethical principles are still germane, just like other speakers have spoken to. They are still relevant, they are relevant now, and they will still be relevant going into the future. The integrity is still key. Every professional is expected to hold integrity, to the highest. Objectivity, professional competence, and due care. Then, of course, confidentiality is also very key. And lastly, our professional behavior, we cannot also undermine it. I joined late, but I'm sure somebody might have spoken to the various areas of ethics. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
Yes. So we have about 5 areas of threats to compliance with fundamental principle of ethics. We have self-threats, which usually occur as a result of financial and other interests, in a business or when you have a close family member. We also have self-review tests, where you have been called upon as a professional, to come and make judgments, in some cases, in what reports you have prepared. We equally have advocacy threats, that occur when a professional is trying to promote his position or opinion on a particular matter. And, if care is not taken, you may be compromised. We also have familiarity threats, which occurs when a professional becomes sympathetic to the interest of others because of close relationships, Then we also have intimidation threats, which occur when chartered accountants or professionals deter from acting objectively, due to some threats, actual or perceived threats. Somebody saying, if you don't do it, we will kill you, or what have you. I remember Madam Okojo was saying at a point, some people threaten her because of her statement and what step they want to take about certain things that was happening around NNPC some years back. And they say, if you go ahead with this, we're going to kidnap your mother. That's a good example of intimidation threats. And we see it everywhere. If you do it, we'll come after you, So I wouldn't say it's that easy for professionals, but what I would just say is that as professionals, we need to be very close to our principle of ethical codes, and be aware that this threat exists, and when they come up, do not allow yourself to be bogged under, irrespective of what those threats are. They are real, At some point in my career, I used to have this boss. He resigned, and we're to do his terminal pay. So in my view, I think I've done the right thing. And he called me into his office and said, "Look, this upfront pay you have given me, why are you prorating it for the number of months I've used? And why do you want to back it out from my final pay? That if you do it, you won't find it for me. They call it upfront pay." And I said, "Sir, even though they call it upfront pay, they put per annum. They said you are entitled to this amount upfront for XYZ. However, it's per annum for 12 months. You've just used about 7 months into the year and you have resigned." The natural thing that anybody will do is to prorate such a per annum amount. He shouted, he did all sorts, and I still did the right thing. He coerced me, he did everything. In fact, he went ahead to do some malicious pick-up about me, that I talk to contractor, I take bribe, just to, because at that point, they've already announced to the leadership that will be taking over his role. Just to thwart that decision, we went all the way to put off fallacious and very malicious speak-up. And you know how it works in some multinational, they have to investigate it no matter what. So that delayed the announcement of me moving into that role for like a year, because they sent some people down from head office just to do investigation. You know, at the end of the day, I was vindicated and the whole thing was cleared and I was given the role. But it was delayed because of his threat and intimidation and all, for us not to do the right thing. So I'm saying it's not easy, but all I would just say is that as accountants or as professionals, we must be bold. And I think that's part of our practice. That's part of our training. You must be bold, you must be fearless, you must be contented, and you must try as much as possible not to dabble into, stuffs that you will not be proud of in the future. Because if you have dabbled into dirty stuff, you can't be bold, you'll be afraid that those things you have done will be brought to the open, and you will not be able to say anything. That's why you see many professionals, bowing down to so many of these ethical threats, because they themselves have dabbled into dirty water that they are afraid of. That if they do anything otherwise, somebody will open their own cupboard. So we are not expected as accountants or professionals, to bow to these pressures. In fact, I would say for professional accountants, when we talk of ethical threats, it's more for us. And when I talk professional accountants here, I'm referring to any practice that is finance related, being auditor, being a tax expert, being a banker, we fall under this category. Our work is not easy because we deal with money, and a lot of things happen when, as professional, you are handling money or you are reporting resources of an organization and all that. The tendency, even if you don't want to do it, the pressure from people around you, pressure from superiors, even pressure from family at times, could want to make you to dabble into some of these things. But I'm saying, as professional, we need to hold very strong the principle of positive corporate codes, which is very, very important. And at all times, always ensure that integrity is your watchword, objectivity is your watchword, professional competence and duty is your watchword, confidentiality is your watchword, and of course your professional behavior. Because I can say for free, we are most exposed to all these threats that I've mentioned, and the way out is to ensure that we hold these tenants very dear to hearts, and of course don't dabble into anything that you not be proud of, because once they throw you banana and you accept it, it means that other things that they will throw at you, you may not be able to reject them. That's my initial thought on this topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Seyi. Please, can we clap for Dr. Seyi? Thank you. We here, as accountants, we have to be bold. He says we have to be fearless. And our reputation is key, because if you dabble into dirty water, tomorrow they'll always use that and intimidate you, and you cannot have your say. So you have to make sure that you hold, no matter how little you are now, you're starting, just know that one day you'll be great, and whatever you do now may affect your future reputation. So we need to keep our reputation clean. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please hold strong, positive corporate values and goals. Thank you so much, Dr. Seyi. So our next panelist that will be speaking to us for this session is Dr. Chizoba. Dr. Chizoba, are you online? Can you hear us, ma'am?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. And my colleagues have said so much about threats to ethics. I'll be speaking on gift inducement as part of something that can, influence or create some level of threats in our professional practice. And just like Dr. Seyi mentioned, we as professional accountants, both in public places, private establishments, or anybody that is handling any financial role, we are actually facing a lot of threats. And, in Nigeria and even any other place, culturally, there are people that do not accept any form of gift. And, they see it as part of bribery and corruption. And if you look at the environment that we are working on and looking at what is obtainable right now, especially with our economic situation, you find out that professional accountants are mostly exposed to this situation, which may impair our objectivity, especially when it comes in an act of inducement. So we need to ask ourselves what inducement is all about. And when you are talking about inducement, we are looking at it from a situation where either an object or maybe a form of a situation that occurs, or even an action that can be used to influence another individual's behavior. Sometimes it may not necessarily be an intent that will improperly influence someone's behavior. Sometimes it can actually be an intention either to improperly influence your situation. And when you talk about gifts, it's relative. Just hold on. Sorry, I thought you have my slide to present.
Why we'll share the slide. Please, technical team,
Okay.
help us with the slide.
All right, thank you. So, and when we, sometimes societal value, they may tell you it's just a gift. A gift is a gift. But we need to sit back and ask ourselves, this gift we are talking about, what is the intention behind it? How can we see an inducement? Having defined what an inducement is, maybe that will come in form of an object or maybe a situation or an action, whether minor or significant. We need to ask ourselves, where is it coming from? Is it from our colleagues? Is it from vendor, customers, clients? Wherever you are facing, just like my colleague Seyi mentioned, as long as we are acting in a finance capacity, then we need to be very, very careful when it comes to gifts. So we'll be looking at various ways in which we can face inducement as a professional accountant. It can come in form of gifts. And when we talk about gifts, we're talking about either monetary or non-monetary gifts that one can give you. Then we look at hospitality. Sometimes you may have an event that will warrant maybe your client or vendor, coming up to support you, to finance your activities, put you in a hotel, pay for your trips, etc. So we need to be very careful when it comes to hospitality and also entertainment. When you're looking at entertainment, you may be an officer that is working in a client, and you have opportunity of them buying you things, breakfast, lunch, and so on and so forth. It can also be maybe you are having an event, maybe child dedication parties, and you see them coming to support you, donating and all kinds. Then we look at inducement from political and charitable donation parts, but that can even be direct and indirect. It may even be maybe a relation of yours, that has an organization, and because of your influence or whatever you're doing for them, they will now want to go and donate. And inducement is something that can cause intimidation and threats, especially if you go ahead and accept those that are with intent, or even those that are not with intent, that can be perceived by a general public as being improper. So these are the things that we need to also consider. Then we look at employment. Sometimes we look at inducement that it is gift or bribe or whatever. But when you see yourself, trying to influence an employment situation or seeking assistance unduly to help either your relative, your spouse, or your children to be gainfully employed. These are also part of inducement. Then there's another aspect that people don't look at properly, and that has to do with preferential treatments or rights or privileges. Sometimes we may come to a situation where or have a situation where we need an urgent assistance, and it requires us to follow due process. But because of our impatient nature, or maybe we want it to be fast, we tend to use who knows who to probably get a preferential treatment or rights or privileges. Those can be seen as inducement. So when we are looking at that, the next question is, all these examples that I have mentioned, how are they threats to our fundamental principles? How are they threats? We look at your self-interest, because for you to have gone to either accept, that means you are showing self-interest, or maybe you want to be gainfully employed. It shows that you have self-interest. So these are the possible threats when you are trying to look at inducement. Then familiarity can also cause familiarity threats can also be seen from inducement. I will talk about that later. Likewise, intimidation. Then when we come to fundamental principles, we look at what are the fundamental principles that all these actions can actually affect your integrity. I hear my colleagues saying that you should not even try. So when you talk about accountants being bold, being sincere, that is